Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am so excited today to talk through my second art journaling for beginners installment. This is the second of what I hope to be a 30-part series for total beginners, for people who have never done any art journaling before. I started art journaling about 8 years ago at the urging of my sister, who has been my greatest inspiration on all things art related, and more about that in future episodes. But for today, I just want us to be making things together. And I have a very simple exercise. We're going to use the tools that I had recommended in the very first episode, which I have a link down below for you to check out. And it's really just a moment to have to yourself. The idea behind these exercises is that they're not super time consuming. It's 10 to however long you want. But you create a book of things that mean something to you and think about color, design. Ideally, you reach a little bit of a flow state. For me, it's the only kind of meditation I've ever really been able to sustain. And I have an exercise that I was introduced to by a friend, and it's just a great way to track sort of some of the things that you're thinking about and exploring and consuming and all that kind of stuff. Without further ado, let's get into it. And I hope that there's something useful for you in this video. And if you have any interest in following along, please do follow so that you can continue to fill your spreads. And ideally, by the end of this series, you will have a completed first sketchbook. And from there, the sky is the limit. And I cannot tell you what sketchbooking has done for my life. It has been such an incredible beacon of light through many stressful times. And I just hope that you will join me on this journey because it's really fun. Okay, so let's get started. We've got the same materials we had from last week. We've got pencils, pens, some brushes, and some paints. I, just for ease and for cleanliness, am not going to use my water brush today, but if I were on the road, I absolutely would. Just moistening up my paints, as we talked about. You can also do that with your brush if you need to. And we've got a blank page. Maybe you're feeling a little worried about that. I'm here to tell you it's okay. And I want to do something today that's a little bit of a hybrid exercise. You'll find that I really do love to do some writing and some art making just because it really allows me to both find that relaxation, but also do some meditative thinking and put together a spread. And I like to think in spreads that will bring me back to this moment. So I want to do two things. I want to do something very simple, a very simple exercise, which is something that I think Paul Klee is credited with, which is this idea of taking a line for a walk, or taking a dot for a walk is really what he said. And it's about having the freedom to effectively have a scribble in your journal. And then I like to take some color to it, but you don't have to. I like color, I like texture. You can leave it as a scribble if that's the way you want to do it. But the idea is really that you have a line, you put your pen someplace on the page, and you begin to create some shapes and forms. And the idea is that you don't pick up your pen until you're done. And you can either connect the line or you can go off the edge. Now, you can stop here or you can continue on. Some people take a ruler to this. All right, what we can do is just to find any kind of straight edge, and you can add some lines that will give it a little bit of visual interest. And if it's a little bit kludgy, if it doesn't work out quite right, lean into it and say, I am cool with it. Because it's really for you. That's the beauty of these spreads, is that they're not for anybody except for yourself. And so that's the beginning. On the right-hand side of the page, I want to do something that a friend introduced me to a while back. I actually have a collaborative journal, one that goes back and forth between a friend and I at very irregular intervals. Sometimes I have it for a year, sometimes I have it for 6 weeks. But one of the things that we've done periodically, the idea is that I do a few pages, she does a few pages, we send it back and forth, and it's a wonderful way And it's a wonderful way to stay in touch. So this is an exercise that we call currently. You will put on the top currently in whatever font you find delightful and enjoyable. And then you are going to think about 6 or 7 categories that you appreciate. So I start with reading because I've been reading a lot of books lately. Then I'm adding watching for any of the videos I'm streaming or shows I'm watching. Loving, that's a good one, very open ended. Planning, there's lots that goes into that. Moving, this one I use to think about how I'm moving my body. And finally, dreading, which later in this video you'll see that I change to stay a little bit more positive. So those are the main categories, and we can take the time to meditate on those categories. If you wanted to add something like eating or cooking or crafting, making, all of these are things that I've included in the past and didn't include today, but could very much do so in the future. And then I do like to embellish my fonts a little bit. I'm not much of a calligrapher, but I do enjoy adding emphasis to some of my letters because I think it adds some visual interest to the spread and creates a nice overall flow. And it's fun to come back and look at that the way that it is. If I wanted to keep going, I could fill in everything. I could do a dark background or a light background. I enjoy mixing white in with certain things and doing like a full color and then something a little bit saturated with some white. And I'm pretty happy with the way this has turned out. So I hope you have enjoyed this. Again, these are meant to be very lightweight exercises just to get you used to using your materials, understanding how the colors interact. And we will be building over the course of this month into things that are a little bit more complicated, maybe a little bit more introspective. We can just keep going. And you can pick your own categories for currently. You might see that during my writing, I decided I didn't want to be negative. So I took away the dreading and just wrote embracing because there's been a lot of chaos in my life lately. And so I want to make sure that I'm looking at that chaos in a positive way. I think part of the beauty of the art journal is that you can turn it into a bit of a gratitude practice. There's so much data on how gratitude can really improve the quality of your life. And so I do try to slant towards the positive. I find that if I'm writing, sometimes I will go towards the negative. This person's bothering me or whatever is on your mind. But if we make a conscious effort to try to look on the bright side, it can be helpful. So on balance, that was my plan. So there it is. If you have just joined us, you can go back and look at the very first session, which has a lot of guidance on the materials that I'm using. And I will continue to add to this series every week. My goal is to get to 30 so that you can do 30 completed spreads, but I may go beyond that just because I'm personally already having fun, and I have loved the response to the first video, and I will definitely be doing more. So let me know in the comments if you are painting along, or if you're just watching and then going and doing it on your own, or if this is just a relaxing way to spend some time, which is also 100% welcome. And would love to hear from you if there's anything you're interested in learning more about, or if you are just not sure where to start, or if there's some in particular thing that you're struggling with. I confess that in the beginning I felt silly, like it was something that I shouldn't be doing because I should be doing the dishes, or God forbid something else. And you know what? That's crazy. That's crazy. Of course you should be doing this. This is such a helpful thing to do. It is self-care. It is a treasure for later, for yourself, for your kids. It is really fun to go back and look at some of the things that we have created. And so if there's anything I can do to make that, to give you permission to do this crazy thing, then I 100% am here to do that for you. And I hope that you will continue to join me each week as we fill these pages with color and scribbles and doodles, but wonderful things that will remind us of some of the good things about our lives. So thanks again, and I will see you next week. Thanks again. Okay, bye.